Chris Sample for the plaintiff. May I proceed? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury, spelling your last name for the record.
Hello, my name is Jules Sebastian. Sebastian is spelled S-E-B-A-S-T-I-A-N.
Mr. Sebastian, what do you do for a living?
Well, since 2010, I have been the lead forensic investigator at the Breckenridge County in Midlands, putting me in charge of 3 assistant investigators.
What education do you have that allows you to hold such a position?
Well, it's quite a long list. I have a bachelor's in criminology from the University of Northern Carolina, Charlotte. I have a master's in forensics from John Jay's College of Criminal Justice. I also graduated salutatorian from my Midland County Police Academy. And on top of that, I have distinct training in ballistics, blood splatter analysis, fingerprinting, and gunshot residue testing.
Turning your attention to today's case, how are you involved?
On August 18, 2010, I received a phone call that a lead forensic investigator was needed at 23 Maple Street. So, here I am.
What did you find when you arrived at that address?
When I arrived at that address, I found a little girl named Sydney Park dead under a cupboard with a gun laying very close by.
What did you do after making these observations?
I went straight to work and I began collecting evidence to do my investigation.
What evidence did you collect?
Right off the bat, I collected 3 specific things. The first being the revolver, put it in a gun to avoid contamination. Second being fingerprints from surfaces around and the individuals who were there. Terry Chapin, the neighbor, Jesse Duran, Sydney's friend, and Andy and Lee Park, who are Sydney's parents. The third item being fingerprints that I lifted from the safe and the box of bullets.
Was this all the evidence that you had for your investigation?
No, that was the majority. On top of this, we also pulled the bullet from Sydney's head, and we collected Jesse and Sydney's clothes.
Now, after collecting all of this evidence, how did you proceed?
Well, I proceeded by performing 2 tests.
Now, let's break those 2 tests up. What is the first test?
The first test was a gunshot residue test.
Can you explain to the members of the jury how one does that sort of test?
Of course. Basically, we test surfaces, hands, clothes, furniture, anything, for 3 main elements. We're looking for lead, barium, and antimony. Basically, the higher concentration of the 3, the closer you were to the gun that was fired.
Now, when you use this test, did you perform it reliably?
Yes, sir. This is a general test that is done with any criminal activity or any crime scene investigation that involves a gun.
What did you find from performing this gunshot residue test?
We found large trace amounts of gunshot residue on Jesse Duran. About 200 particles on her right hand, about 75 on her shirt, and 25 on her left hand, meaning that when Jesse Duran fired the gun, her arm was outstretched.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness demonstrated that Jesse shot the gun with her arm fully extended.
Yes. So far.
I want to turn your attention now to your second test.
All right.
What was that?
That would be fingerprint testing.
What is the process that you use to do this fingerprint testing?
We use a special dust that is attracted to the oils left behind on human skin, which are then lifted and compared to ink fingerprints on a point matching system from all the individuals that we got fingerprints from.
Mr. Bashir, how many points does a sample fingerprint need to have to be declared a match with an individual?
There's no consensus on a finite number that will guarantee a match, but generally the forensic community agrees on the unspoken rule of 16.
Now, when you perform this fingerprint testing, did you do so reliably?
Oh yes, this is another common practice test. It's done with literally every crime scene investigation.
Now, when you performed this test, what did you find?
Well, we found 2 sets of fingerprints on the revolver. The first belonging to Andy Park on the grip, which makes sense. Andy Park owns the weapon. The other prints they were for Jesse Duran. There was a 17-point match to Jesse's right index finger on the barrel, a 16-point match to Jesse's pinky on the grip, and on the casing pulled from the revolver, there were a 12 and 10-point match on partial prints to Jesse Duran.
Mr. Sebastian, what does all of this mean?
Well, this means that Jesse fired the gun and most likely put the bullet inside of the gun as well.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Sebastian. Your Honor, at this time, no further questions.
Okay. Ross?
Yes,